Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Big Rob from Big Rob and the Goose, and I'm here to talk about an 80s set that's much underappreciated in Goose and I's opinion. A couple weeks ago, we were both talking about how much we enjoyed this set, and that is Fleer's third run, the 1983 Fleer. I have this picture of the 82 World Series champ Willie McGee because back in 1983, all the cards would be the 82 players. But first, we're going to recap how I believe 83 kind of set the standard. And then when 84 came out, which I believe is the best Fleer release of all time, just kind of blew up. Well, we started where they started out with in 81 with their pictures weren't quite focused. They weren't, they had a lot of, it's like they were just taken from far away. In 81 and 82 were both these Keith Hernandez. They they a lot of their shots are like that. But then once you get to 83, the pictures are much better. The pictures are crisper. They were closer to taking the photo. So I am 46 years old, so I was born in 1974. So 1983, I was 9 years old in Vincennes buying packs of 83 Fleer. 83 Fleer is one of the few sets that I did not have as a kid. My dad liked to buy me all the sets, but every now and then one would slip out, and 83 Fleer was one of them. But I could get the 83 Fleer at Jerry's Handy Mark across from Washington School by 2 blocks from where I lived. And also 2 blocks from my grandmother's, there was a Speedway that usually sold Fleer, so that was nice. So first of all, we'll go recap some of my favorite cards of the 83 Fleer, which, by the way, we talked about this, and then I was out and about going to the bank today, and I bank right next to K&L Cards, so I stopped by, and they had this set for $39, so I decided to buy it. So Ozzie Smith was always one of my favorites. Growing up in Vincennes, you got Cardinal games on the radio, and you got Cubs games, Mets games, and Braves games on the TV, but my great aunt and uncle listened to the Cardinal game every night, and they lived across the street from where I did as a kid, so they would sit outside, weather permitting, and listen to these games. So I got kind of attached to the Cardinals by them listening to these games. So as a kid, obviously Ozzie Smith was my favorite, and Willie McGee was my favorite. And then you get like the other teams. The 83 Fleer is actually set up by teams if you build the set. But as a kid, one kid in my neighborhood, Tony Hoover, he liked the Braves because, like I said, they were on TV all the time. But like this card here, this Phil Niekro, I remember as a kid thinking he looked older than my grandpa. Like I just did not know. I just did not understand why he was a major league player. But their best pitcher that, like, as a fan of the Cardinals, man, I dreaded Pascual Perez. Like, to me, he was like the meanest and nastiest pitcher of all time. And then, of course, their best player was Dale Murphy, who was, as just a young kid growing up in the 80s, I don't understand how Dale Murphy's does not get much consideration for the Hall of Fame, because he was a great player. But another fun thing about these 83 products is for anyone up here in central Indiana, Vincennes is like an hour north of Evansville. And in the early 80s, Evansville was affiliated with the Tigers. So you'd get a card and you'd flip on the back, and every now and then you would see or that they played in Evansville. And I'd be like, wow, that guy was just down the road an hour. I thought that was pretty amazing. So I always looked forward to getting Pirates cards and just looking over the back. And when they won the World Series in '84, I was pretty happy for them. And then also Fleer would do the like the special card, the promo. This is the silver shoe about how Ricky Henderson stole all the bases. And then they had the Smith brothers. And like as a kid growing up, Lonnie Smith and Ozzie Smith was just like Lonnie Smith was the fastest person on the planet only in my mind. It was like, you know, if he slapped the ball to the shortstop, that's a single. Then he's still in second, and then they're butting him over to third, and then he's scoring, like automatic. Of course, it was not automatic, but in a 9-year-old's mind, it was. And then I also like the story of the Joel Youngblood, who played one game and got traded to another team. So he played in 2 games in one day. So I always thought that was fun, and they made a card for that. So I thought, hey, you know, that's nice. And then of course I can't really do any card set of the '80s without featuring Goose's favorite player, Gary Carter. This one he is about his ability to throw baseball players out, which I always thought Gary Carter was more of a hitting catcher, but I don't know. He might have been there. And then there was also the All-Star catchers. So Goose gets 3 Gary Carters in this set. That's probably why it's one of his favorites. But if you were to buy the '83 set, what you would be looking for now is the 3 big rookies. And a lot of cards in the '80s, a lot of it depends on how well they're cut. Obviously, this one that I got from K&L Cards on the set was, it's off-centered. But at the same time, I don't buy a set for $39 thinking I'm going to get a PSA 10 Tony Gwynn in it or any of the other ones. And then there's Ryan Sandberg, which I always liked this pose. And I was never a big Sandberg fan. Obviously, I was not a Cubs fan. My best friend growing up, Matt Rollins, loved the Cubs, so that made him even more of an enemy. But I always thought this was a good-looking photo. So it seemed like as a collector, as a young collector at this time, and looking back, it was like '83 is the warm-up, and '84 was the main show, because the '84 Fleer, Donruss, and Topps is just phenomenal as a young kid. But the '83 really jumped up from '81 and '82. It's like they said it so that you could have '84. And '84 was just remarkable for a 10-year-old kid growing up and going in. Obviously in '84 there was the Don Mattingly's. So it was like, wow, there's a guy from Evansville to go try to get. So that was kind of nice. And then we have an off-cut Wade Boggs here, which was the last of the big 3 rookies. If you ever get a time, look up Wade Boggs and his beer drinking stories. They are hilarious. I think It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia tried to do like a little reenactment in one of their shows, but I actually ran into him downtown a few years ago, and he was about as pleasant as you can get. I walked away from there thinking, wow, what a nice guy. So this is just a little review of my '83 Fleer that I bought today. We're going to be doing a few more videos coming up. The next video is going to be, actually we have 2 videos. We got one is what I bought off Goose after our draft. You know, after there's a draft, there's always some things you wish you would have gotten. Well, Goose made them available for me to buy, so I went ahead and I bought a few of them. And then, of course, being a big Star Wars fan, I did do a couple buys on May 4th. I do that every year. And since I'm a big fan of like the Clone Wars and the Rebels, most of my buys are based on that. So, all right, well, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have some '80s sets that you really enjoyed. I know Goose likes the '86s, and I'm not a big fan of the '86s because I'm older than him. So thank you again, and you have a good day.